Hello, it's me back again with another short video. This one's going to be just, I've done enough of answering questions. This time I'm going to do, this time I'm going to be asking the questions. I'm going to ask questions to flat earthers that they keep on always bringing up. Or asking things about why do they constantly feel the need to do things like this. Some of them are going to be quick fire with a small little explanation to go with it. Some might be a little longer, and I might, even kind of in the middle of answering myself, in the middle of it. So this is just going to be a little thing. You flat earthers, you can rush to this video and tell me how much of a moron I am as much as you want. I want it, because this is the whole point of the videos, is for you to come onto my comment section and, try and be civil about it and ask questions in a decent way, not just tell me how much of a moron I am, and or the fact that globe earth is shit and been debunked already, because in fact it hasn't. So you can do what you want. Now you can come on to my comment section and answer these questions the best that you can. You're gonna ask me even more, and I will try to the best of my knowledge to answer those ones. Okay. Now question number 1. Why do you keep on using the crepuscular ray argument, all the time? Now, like I've always said, this pretty much shows that it's right above the clouds. Okay? Fair enough. Okay? But so many flat earthers out there, including people like Jeranism and, Eric Dubé and all this kind of thing, always say that it's 3,000 miles high. Does that look 3,000 miles high to you? No. And the fact that they ignore perspective in this one. And that's the thing. That's another question. Why do we ignore perspective? Because basically if you use that same argument with this, the sun is directly, behind these trees. But not 3,000 miles away, is it? Or like this. This picture here is directly above that hedge. This one is, you people have really got to understand one question. So, I'd like to ask you again. Why do you keep on bringing up the crepuscular ray argument when you know it's false? Okay? Question number 2. If the sun was really going off into perspective and going smaller as it goes along, as many flat earthers like to bring up, okay, explain a photo like this. Okay? Explain a photo like this, which this sun is clearly pretty much getting cut in half here. Okay, and its physical size has not got any smaller. Its glare has, because of the angle of its trajectory to the atmosphere. Okay, but why is it being cut in half like that? Are you honestly trying to tell me that there's 3,000 miles of a gap in between this and somewhere in the ground off in that distance? Some of the videos I've seen that it's due to perspective, as you go along, well, that works from things at ground level perhaps, and certain things at a certain height, but not with something that's apparently, in your case, 3,000 miles high. Okay, that's one question. Okay, question number 2. Why do you always use, why do you always seem to forget about the moon in this concept? Don't seem to have a picture, but okay. Why do you keep on forgetting about the moon in this concept? Now, there are plenty of images out there of the moon going from moon set to moon rise, and it never gets any smaller. Ever. But apparently, according to your model, it spins the same height, and relatively the same way as the sun does. So why does this not occur? Please answer me that. Okay? Also, there's going to be a couple of questions on the moon. Okay? How can so many of you suggest that the moon is not a landmass? You can tell from this image alone what it is. Okay? If it's not a landmass and it's like an illuminary, as you people like to point out, what are all these marks and craters for? You can clearly tell that this object has been taken a bashing over millions of years and thousands of years, probably when it was first created. Okay? And all these craters and meteorites that have been hitting it. It's clearly an object. Okay? It's very clearly an object. So why do you think it makes its own light? Why do you still saying that when clearly it is not? Because you can see the shadows here. So you can tell the trajectory of the tell where the sun is coming from. And that leads me to think, so why do you think the moon is emitting its own light when it clearly is not? So in this case, about this picture here, what do you think that God, or to the religious fundamentalists out there, think that God just painted this just to fool us that it's a physical object? Like the fact that you painted the bulb up there and made it look like this, and the same with the moon phases. That you think the fact that he positions them so perfectly in the sky just to make you think that that it's the sun that's causing the moon phases. You know what I mean? Okay. Like I said, those are a couple of questions I like to ask me that. So the questions are, why do you think that it's not a solid object and it's an luminary? And why do you keep on suggesting that it emits its own light? Okay? Now, moving on to another question. Why do you people, flat earthers, keep on using the 8 inches per mile squared formula? Because it's due to my knowledge, thanks to my knowledge, a little bit of this, due to my experience, that it ignores the observer eye height, okay, and it actually gets increasingly inaccurate the further away you go, the further out you go. The formula is for small parabolic curves, not an entire sphere. Okay, now I need to shout out to Aisha for Truth, at Aisha for Truth here, on Twitter for this image. It's a simple image that basically just points out where flat earthers keep on going wrong. Or Yeshai for Truth. I'm going to try again there. I do apologise. You can hate me later. And I would also like to point out that no normal person, okay, let's be less rude about this, pretty much all globe heads, as I like to call us, never use this. The only videos I've ever seen people using this formula are flat earthers. And you seem to ignore the fact, Jeranism just did a recent video of using that 8 inches per mile squared. Okay? But even though it's wrong and people don't use it. So why? And my question is, why do you keep on using it? Because it's flawed from the start. Okay? Now for the next question, I might go back to the moon just for 1 second. Why do you still think that the moon emits cold energy or cold light? Because the experiment that I've seen is flawed in many ways and doesn't take into consideration many variables. You cover a thermometer under a small bit of cover just to hide the moon rays. That could be trapping heat inside there, just by a small degree, but that's all you need. That could be trapping heat. Okay? Like, for example, on a cloudy night. On a cloudy night, it could be more humid than it is on a clear night, because the clouds are trapping heat. When there's no clouds, there's nothing to trap that heat. So basically think. So I'd like to keep on asking you again, why do you keep on saying that when you know it's flawed? Okay, let's move on. Now, Mike, and also a question again. This one's about the star trails. Now, this is quite a popular little GIF animation that flat earthers like to use. Question is, why do you think that, that the star trails prove that the Earth is flat, when there's exactly the same motions, just in different directions, from the North Pole to the South Pole? Okay? And in both poles, there are the same patterns. There is no flat Earth model out at all that can explain this, not even closely. But I might answer this question myself. Now, I think what you people seem to think is the fact that you keep on using that phrase hurling, or hurtling through space. Now, this GIF is also inaccurate, as pointed out by the traducer I just thinged earlier for the 8 inches per squared mile squared formula. Is that this is increasingly inaccurate, this little figure. I think this was just to prove a point. Now, this shows the stars being stationary. Well, in fact, we know that's not true. Okay? And so, do you people think that our solar system is spinning independently, like moving within our solar system? Which the truth is that we spin with our solar system. Which is why the stars stay in the same place. Okay? Now, going on to the stars, why do you people seem to think that Polaris has always been the pole star, which in fact it hasn't? If you've done some measurements over the last 100, 200 years, it has moved. Okay? Now, why do flat earthers never like to bring up the fact that back during Egyptian times, let's say 3,000 to 5,000 years ago, the pole star was actually near Thuban in the constellation Draco? Okay? So it's a false statement right there that the pole star has always been Polaris. Okay? So my question is this: why do you keep on bringing up the question that the pole stars or the star trails prove that the Earth is flat when it clearly does not? I know many of these are quite, simple questions. They're not asked in the correct way. Just bear with me, and do the best you can. Now, the next one I'd like to ask is, why do you keep on bringing up the fact that all NASA images are composites? Yes, a lot of old pictures were composite, but they always explain why. They don't hide this truth. Okay? So why do you people, even today, when there are plenty of images that aren't, okay, why do you people keep on ignoring those? Like this video here, for example, by the Himawari 8 satellite. Okay? Now I play this little image. Now this satellite takes a picture every 10 minutes. And as you can clearly tell, it's an amazing piece of photography by an astonishingly expensive camera. Okay? Now, you can suggest this is CGI as much as you want, but that's not enough. Okay? Why do you people keep on ignoring these? Because so many flat earthers still say in some videos, why aren't there any real photographs of Earth? Which they clearly are. Okay? So I'd like to point out, why do you keep on ignoring these, and why do you keep on bringing up the composites? I mean, let's show this video again, see? This was the 2017, the 12th of the 1st. These were sets of images taken yesterday. Okay, let's go to like another example of this. Let's go to the other bit where the camera goes in and zooms in a bit, or this might be a little cutout of the whole thing, but check this out. Okay, it might take a small bit to load here. Ooh, bit of an issue here. 1 second. Might be due to the fact that I'm recording, perhaps. It's like this, for example. This is, a special video picture every 10 minutes of storms that were happening across the coasts, around that part of the Earth. Now, you can dismiss this as being, CGI as much as you like, but that's not enough on ground. Just because CGI exists, you can't keep on using it. Let's, try and find another one. Let's find the one I had before. Here we go. Okay. Now check this. Check this out. I mean, if this was CGI, that's pretty damn sophisticated. And the fact that it's a picture every 10 minutes. Okay? Now I'm going to probably get something like Geronism come up here that all the shadows are wrong, all the cloud formations are wrong, and all this kind of stuff. Okay? But you can't... Now, I don't want your answer to be, well, this is just CGI. Okay? Because that's not good enough. It never has been, and it never will be. Okay? There probably are a few questions I might think. Now, another kind of question I'd like to ask is... Do I have an example of it here anywhere? No. Is that why do flat earthers love the use of quotes so much? Flat earthers love to bring up quotes from scientists, philosophers, like people like Nikola Tesla, as seemingly proof of the earth is flat. I mean, I can do that easy, but it doesn't fucking strengthen my cases in any way. You love using quotes. You absolutely adore it for some reason. Keep on bringing it up. So that's another question. Why do you feel the need to quote people? Eric Dubé quotes Samuel Robotham quite a lot, like that's supposed to mean anything. Some people, like I said before, quote Einstein, Neil deGrasse Tyson even. And actually, that's my next question, but I'll get onto that in a second. So, why do you feel compelled to keep on using quotes from, scientists, philosophers? Just, why do you think those seemingly strengthen your case? Okay. Now, my next question is about Neil deGrasse Tyson. Why do flat earthers always feel compelled to bring up the pear-shaped Earth argument, which it's laughable from the start? Now, you go saying, they can't make their mind up and all this kind of stuff. Well, no. And it's quite hilarious that most flat earthers always ignore the later part of that interview where he says that it's a very minute difference and it's hardly noticeable. But you ignore that, okay? So why do you keep on bringing that up? I mean, most flat earthers now are essentially just taking the piss out of themselves. They're making things worse for themselves with the amount of questions that they are asking. Now, my next question. Why is your concept of what gravity is so simplistic? Most flat earthers' idea of what gravity is just that it pushes stuff down, and that's as far as you think, and that's as far as you go with it. It's definitely a bit more complicated than that. Okay? Now, it's been shown to you by maths and science and biology or whatever how the buoyancy and density argument is wrong. And it's hugely wrong. So why is your idea of what gravity is so simplistic? Or why do you keep on saying that gravity is apparently selective? Why can birds fly and water stays down? Well, let's put it this way. Water isn't trying to fly, is it? Okay, because you would notice that when a bird stops flapping its wings, it drops out of the sky. Or helium. Or let's say like helium is there's a reason why we don't find helium in lower atmosphere, because it's in our higher atmosphere and quite a lot of the helium probably escapes out into space. Okay? Now, my kind of last question for this video, at the very least, is the fact that why do some, this is just a personal gripe. Many flat earthers like to use a little bit of a joke that they are always pounced upon by globe heads. That, oh yeah, look, somebody's they're saying the earth is flat, must fucking join in, derp, 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 However, I got my little, sub-question to that. Why do so many of you on Twitter and on YouTube love to block the shit out of globeheads? Or us normal people? It is constant. On YouTube, on Twitter, anywhere. When a well, us globe heads like to start, let's say, a bit of an argument with you people, or essentially start a discussion about things. After a while, you people just go, well, you're obviously a shill, you're obviously an idiot, you're obviously asleep, and all this kind of thing. You're obviously, you're one of the sheeple, and then they'll block you. I've had experiences this on Twitter and quite a lot of experiences on YouTube. Or if you don't block them, why do you constantly ignore them? Because this doesn't help your case if you're unwilling to discuss things. This just shows that you don't have any point of argument to go on. Okay? And another question, and now these last couple, this last one here is along with the one before, just personal gripes. Okay? Why is it seemingly that most flat earth research is just watching other flat earth videos? Please answer me that, because that's getting on my nerves. I've had loads of people on Twitter and YouTube link me to Eric Dubay videos. Like, that's supposedly enough. Like, Eric Dubay videos are automatically proof because reasons. Okay? Please, please answer me these. I know these are very simple questions, but these are questions that, need to be answered in many respects. Okay? Now these are, but I'll see what other questions I can come up with in future videos, because this video is kind of off the cuff and just did it, in the moment. Okay, so I'll be looking forward to what the comment section reads after a few hours or a day or so, and see if he can be as productive when I tore Flat Earth Arsehole a new one in some of his videos, because some of his fanboys loved my video. Okay, so I'll be waiting for your responses. That's me, and that's it, and good night. Or good morning, whichever part of the world you're in.